In the Beis Hamikdash, there were korbanos sacrifices that were brought every single day. And there was a certain structure that these sacrifices, these korbanos, were brought within. So there was something called the Tamid Shel Shachar and the Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim, the korban that was brought every single day in the morning and every single day in the afternoon. And all the other sacrifices that were brought, if an individual wanted to bring a voluntary offering or had some sin to atone for, or if it was a Shabbos or a Yontif, so there were additional musafin, additional korbanos and sacrifices that were brought, whatever additional korbanos were being volunteered or being offered because of a special or unique occasion, all of that took place within the structure of the consistency of the Tamid Shel Shachar and the Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim. So every day was bookended by these two consistent korbanos. The Tamid Shel Shachar, the korban that was brought every single day, the first thing that was done, and then the Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim, every single day, the last thing that was done, and everything additional, everything unique, everything spontaneous took place within that. And that's a powerful lesson that we can learn from korbanos, which is that all the additional things we can do, all the extra things we want to take on, all the spontaneity, all the creativity, all the uniqueness that we want to offer, all of that should take place in a healthy context, should take place within a framework of consistency. So it's not just one day I'm doing this and then one day I'm doing that, but I have my basic, I have my baseline, I have the minimum of the bookends of what I do, what I'm committed to, what I have a discipline around, what I have a ritual and a practice around. And then within that, I can add all sorts of other things. But there's one exception to this rule. In the korbanos, in the Beis Hamikdash, there's one exception. And that exception is the Korban Pesach, the sacrifice that is offered for Pesach. That korban is brought after the Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim, after the afternoon sacrifice. It is brought outside the context of that consistency and that structure. It is the only korban that has that rule. It is actually specifically brought. There's a pasuk, it's learned from Yu'uchar Hadavar, that is brought outside that structure of consistency. And what we can learn from that is that Pesach, even the word Pesach means to skip, ledaleg, to jump over. That there's a type of growth, a type of change that happens from seizing the moment, from having a sort of chutzpah to kedusha, a holy audacity, the ability to say, you know what, I can do this right now, so I'm just going to go for it. I don't care. I'm not going to think about the consistency. I'm not going to think about yesterday or tomorrow. I'm just going to make this happen right now because right now I can do something extraordinary. And so most of our lives, we need to function within that Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim, Tamid Shel Shachar, Tamid Shel Bein Harbaim structure and consistency. We need to follow that discipline of consistency and continuity. But then sometimes there are moments in our lives where we're given the opportunity, if we so choose, to pursue it, to make a jump, to take a quantum leap into a new form of being, a new form of living. And so Pesach is about that. Pesach is about being able to find my absolute most potential. How can I most self-actualize in a way that is actually maybe transcendent and beyond what even makes sense? But let me even dream of that. Let me think of that. What could that look like? What could that be? If I were to imagine being able to just skip steps, what could I be? That's Pesach. It's about being able to dream. And then after I've done that, we can then now start counting Sfiras HaOmer, one day at a time, building one rung on the ladder. And so in our lives, we try and find this balance, this dialectic or paradox of living within the consistency and the spontaneity that we can learn from the korbanos of that daily practice, and then the uniqueness that Pesach brings into our lives of chipazon, of leaving in haste, leaving in a hurry, being able to just grab that moment and maximize it to its fullest, absolute fullest potential.